What's going on, guys? This is Rob, and we never finished the story where Daredevil fought Kingpin, who was possessed by demons, which is amazing because he tears this guy apart. But with the trailer coming out, we're actually going to have this video serve double duty to a degree, kind of getting people caught up on the nature of Kingpin in Marvel Comics in more recent years, as well as finishing the nature of that story. So for the caught up portion here, Kingpin had recently come off of being mayor of New York. And some of you guys already know about this, some of you guys do not, but for a bit of a refresher here, Kingpin becoming mayor of New York took place during the events of Secret Empire, which is to say, when the Red Skull used a cosmic cube to rewrite Captain America's past and turned him into a Hydra agent. And so during that time, the city of New York was literally locked away and encased in dark force energy, which in effect doesn't really block out light, it actually removes light in its entirety. And while the city started to descend into madness due to the fact that there wasn't really a whole lot of attention from the superheroes being given to like people on the very low ground on the street level, and they were mostly focused on high level antics that villains were getting involved in, what Kingpin was doing is he was focusing on the street level person, right? He was keeping them protected. And the idea here was, because I'm protecting you when the time comes, I hope you will remember that. So when Secret Empire ended and Captain America was basically defeated, that turned into Wilson Fisk running for the mayor of New York. And because of the fact that the citizens saw him as the guy that was directly protecting them, he became mayor, he won. And so one of the first things that happened during this time was a story called Devil's Reign. And that came hot off the heels of an existing Daredevil story from Chip Zdarsky, I'm pretty sure. And what Matt Murdock had done is he had basically used magic to strip Kingpin of his knowledge that Matt Murdock was Daredevil. So every time Kingpin saw a Daredevil, he knew that he was missing something, but he couldn't remember what it was. And just based on that vendetta, he had had enough. And so he passed a law in the city of New York that outlawed superheroes. And it was really, really cool. It was a phenomenal story, almost kind of like a mini version of Marvel's Civil War. Of course, that ended up coming to an end. Luke Cage ran against Wilson Fisk. Luke Cage became mayor, and that kind of lands us where we are in the here and now, which is to say that Kingpin is just kind of back to being his normal head of Fisk Industries and all that kind of cool stuff and engaging in criminal enterprises. Now, as part of the lead up to this, right, this was a story called Introductory Rites that Daredevil had effectively escaped hell. And when that happened, demons followed him. Now, one of the things that you're going to see over the course of this is a lot of religious connotation, but it is important to specify that in Marvel Comics, Judeo-Christianity is a thing. It's not the thing, right? There's no God of Abraham up there listening and solving all of people's problems and so on and so forth. There is the one above all, but only very rarely does the one above all actually appear to people. It appeared to Spider-Man once. It appeared to Thanos and Adam Warlock from an alternate reality after Secret Wars 2015, when the Living Tribunal was destroyed as part of Hickman's Avengers and New Avengers. And so Adam Warlock from that alternate reality became the new Living Tribunal under the direction of the one above all. There's very few moments where that happens, but the mythology is very much alive and well when it comes to the Daredevil mythos. And so one of the things that happens is Daredevil kind of muses to himself, for the most part, a lot over this story, right? Mr. Mayor, CEO of Fisk Industries, the Kingpin. I fought the devil-possessed man trying to crush my skull with his bare hands under every name he's worn. This is different though. And the reason why is because Kingpin is currently possessed by greed, right? Again, one of the 7 deadly sins of Catholicism. But that's where Matt says Wilson Fisk, my oldest and bitterest enemy, has been possessed, had his will stolen from him by the devil, greed. And despite my having the gall to call myself a man of God, it's my fault that this has happened to him. Fisk was already monstrously strong, but possession has apparently given him an upgrade. Now, one of the things to understand here, and this is what's so interesting about the way demonic forces work. In Marvel, demonic forces hail from a variety of different places. You have the realm of Mephisto, where you have quite literal demons. There's only really a few that ever show up though, right? Blackheart, the son of Mephisto, then like Mephisto himself. You have guys like Damon Hellstrom. You also have demons from like the realm of Limbo, where magic is at her most powerful, specifically when she's the Dark Child, her dark evil form. But then you also have things like the one below all, which is quite literally what happens when the one above all hulks out. I'm not even lying. Like, I'm not even joking. It's kind of dope. But down in the one below all, that's where the Hulk goes, right? Every time the Hulk dies, he travels through what's called the green door in the realm of the one below all and comes back to life. It's why those individuals infected with gamma radiation are essentially immortal. They can never actually die. They'll always return to life. But in this instance, the demons that Matt is facing off against actually come from the realm of the Beast. Now, the Beast is a demon entity that exists in Marvel Comics and is most commonly tied to the Hand, the mystical ninja organization that's wildly capable and whatnot. There was a story called Shadowland, which was amazing, where Daredevil himself was possessed by the Beast and took it to everybody in the city of New York. We need to cover that story. It was really, really good. But the gist behind this, and the reason why I bring all that up, is that the Beast is an ancient entity that is part and parcel to the elder gods of Earth, right? So Chthon, Sidorak, all those different guys, and is immensely powerful. But these demons hail from that place because there was a time where Matt Murdock had traveled to the realm of the Beast in order to defeat it himself. And I think Matt Murdock was successful. I'm not going to swear by that. The story was a little while ago. But the point is, that's why the demons followed him back, right? Because they're trying to bring him back to that place while at the same time basically infecting Earth if they possibly can. But Kingpin, again, incredibly powerful here. But it's not just about Kingpin's brute strength facing off against Matt. It's calling into question the nature of Matt himself. You try to cover it with quips, but you know the truth. You brought me this strength, this gift from hell itself. You cheated the devil of your due. Now all your shame, all your sin has followed you home, and it will infect everything that matters to you. I told you when we last faced each other, your childish desire to have it all has made you weak. All those around you will pay for it. Some will die, others will live to see you for what you are, but all of them, friends, lovers, adoring children, will abandon you, just as God has. And this is an important statement to make here, because one of the things to know is that whenever demons from any dimension arrive on Earth, they feed on the minds of those individuals that they faced off against, usually bringing whatever those individuals believe they are to life. In the case of Matt Murdock, right, he is a man of God. He is a Catholic priest. So of course, whatever demons follow him here are going to model themselves after Catholicism. And so yes, these are the 7 deadly sins, and they're acting as though they're the 7 deadly sins. But the reality here is that they're just demons, right? Kind of acting as the 7 deadly sins. And so that's where Kingpin says, just think of all those you've disappointed and made miserable. The people are many, and it is time of much rain. And where Matt smiles, he says, that smile, have you already fallen so far that your own damnation is just a jest to you? But the response of Matt here is, I'm smiling because you are wrong about my people, about God. For the rain is over and gone. Now the flowers appear on Earth, and Elektra shows up to help Matt. Now, it's not to rescue him, right? I mean, Elektra's not enough on her own to be able to defeat the Kingpin, but Elektra being kind of the other side of the Daredevil equation, that also took place during Devil's reign, that Matt Murdock was tossed in jail. And while he was in jail, someone had to be Daredevil. And Marvel already did the story where Black Panther became Daredevil, so they couldn't do that again. So they ended up making Elektra Daredevil. Yes, there is a story where Black Panther becomes Daredevil. It's really cool. It's Black Panther, the man without fear, or something along those lines. We should cover that too. That story was great. But the cool thing about this is that when Elektra shows up, right, like Matt Murdock kind of muses over the fact that Elektra sort of saved him a few times, but like right off the bat, she's taken out. Like literally Kingpin grabs her and the demon siphons basically energy off of her and just kind of throws her to the ground. And that's it, right? Mostly because, I mean, Elektra kind of sucks. Elektra was better when she was just Elektra Natchios, right? Just like the chick who would show up and try to kill Matt Murdock sometimes, and like sometimes they would bang. But the thing about this is that Matt, it does kind of give him the moment to recover. And that's really what he needed, right? Elektra was more of a distraction than anything else. And so Matt Murdock, being a man of God, does the only thing he knows how to do. Matt Murdock starts an exorcism, right? He says, you belong to your father, the devil, and you want to carry out your father's desires. Submit yourselves, therefore, to God, resist the devil, and he will flee from you. But that's like where the demon grabs him and he's like, no, There is no God here to save you. And immediately just like says, greed has seeped so deeply into your frail little bones that you would steal even the word of God. But he that is greedy of gain is troubleseth with his own house. And if a thief is caught, he shall pay sevenfold. So again, taking Matt Murdock's own religious views and throwing them back at him. Now, by and large, when it comes to demonic entities that exist out there, it usually comes down to like the Midnight Suns, some combination of that group, Doctor Strange himself, to deal with them. But again, demons, as have always kind of been specified in the Doctor Strange mythos, while they are able to use the mind of those individuals they're confronting against them, it also limits them because they effectively become the living embodiment of an idea, right? You guys remember Aladdin when Jafar wanted to become a genie? It's that, right? You get all the powers that come with it, but all the restrictions as well. You are bound quite literally by belief. Now, those are lower level demons, right? The upper rank demons, you guys knew we had to throw it out there somewhere, right? You know, for all my Demon Slayer fans out there, if you're an upper rank demon, so you're like Mephisto or somebody along those lines, yeah, those rules don't apply to you, man. You can kind of do whatever you want to, right? I mean, it's one of the cool little things that go on in the realm of Marvel Comics. But again, Matt says, like, I try to muster what little fight is left in my body, but Fisk is right. I have been abandoned. In my supreme arrogance and my lust for war, I've treated the word of God as just another weapon. And so I've had it taken from me. Now, this is potentially one of those one above all moments. We don't definitively know, and Marvel never explicitly tells us, but Matt Murdock gets a vision of his father. Now, the reason why I say it might be one of those one above all moments is because in Sensational Spider-Man, when the one above all visited Peter Parker when Aunt May was dying, that it literally told Peter it was the one above all, right? Like Peter's like, who are you? And he's like, you know who I am. And just like amidst this blinding bright light, right? Those of you guys who always wondered where that's from, it's from the Sensational Spider-Man stories, the aftermath to Civil War. But the thing about this is that we don't get that kind of clarity here. Instead, the father of Matt shows up here, right? Jack says, give me a break, son. I'm dead. How could I be here talking to you? Maybe I'm a memory, a delusion, a voice in your head. Or maybe, just maybe, I'm a reminder from upstairs. And so seemingly for Matt Murdock himself, facing off against Kingpin, possessed by a demon, Matt Murdock couldn't do it on his own. He could not defeat this guy by himself because greed and Kingpin are just too compatible with each other. And the power of each is amplified further when that compatibility seems to be at its strongest, right? Wilson Fisk covets power, right? He loves power more than anything else outside of Vanessa, right? Which she's long since been dead. But outside of his wife, there's nothing he loves more than absolute power. And so with greed possessing a man that is greedy, well, it's no wonder Kingpin's so incredibly powerful. And so even Matt says, over the last few months, I've driven 4 devils back to hell using the word of God. There are sanctioned exorcism texts, but as with my work at St. Nick's, I felt a clear call to do things a bit differently. Finding my way to the right words is part scholarly knowledge, part artistic interpretation, part bomb diffusing. I'm not as unwavering in my faith as a priest should be, not as erudite either, but the key to dispelling my personal devils has been knowing what's sinful, what's wrong and broken about myself. And on that subject, I've become an expert. And that's where he basically submits, right? Because it is a humble man that gains the glory of heaven, right? And so when it comes to Matt Murdock says, okay, you're right. You are 100% right in what you're saying. They're not just taunts. It's not just you, right, trying to get the upper hand of me and playing mind games or anything like that. You're right. I've asked too much of myself and I've asked too much of God. I have asked the world to solve my problems. Never once sitting down and asking myself, what am I doing to solve my problems, right? Or am I a Redditor, right? Expecting the world to save me. Instead, he says, wielding the power of a priest, but shirking the work that would make me worthy of it. covetous of the peace of a happy home life, but too selfish to give up the excitement of running the rooftops. Because of that, a child who was in my care has gone missing. No man can serve two masters. I've been a fool to try, but his mercy is infinite, even toward me, even toward you. Teach me your ways, O Lord, so that I may walk in your truth. Let me worship your name with an undivided heart. And Matt is momentarily imbued with seemingly angelic energy. And when that happens, he casts out the devil from Kingpin. And it's dope, right? He casts the demon directly out of him. Now, again, we're kind of towing the line between like traditional superhero antics and mythology. And Marvel's not really clarifying here, right? Like we're not really getting a clear answer. Is it the power of the one above all or something along those lines? Because there aren't very many great positive beings that are out there when it comes to like that part of the mythos, angels and demons and different things like that. Technically, you get the Chearfim and Nearfim, right? Like, so the traditional appearance of angels and demons, but they're mutants, right? Like literally mutants. Angel is derived from one and Nightcrawler is derived from another. But the fact is, right? I mean, that's the closest you get to like cherubs and stuff like that in Marvel Comics. Usually it comes down to superheroes. So the only real option we have here is that it's a one above all type of situation. And so ultimately, Matt Murdock sitting here, Kingpin starts to get up. And Matt Murdock's thought is, this guy's going to kill me. And he could, right? Sleep deprivation, he's completely exhausted. He's been running around for weeks on end, right? I mean, like, this is one of these things where he is at his most vulnerable. But Kingpin does something that Matt Murdock does not expect. Kingpin literally stays on his knees, shuffles over to Matt Murdock, and holds out a hand in supplication and simply says, "Bless me, Father, for I have sinned." With that being said, guys, we're gonna bring this video to an end. I told you guys, man, like, it's an amazing story. Thank you all for watching. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Click this video to get caught up on everything that led up to this, and I will catch you all later. Peace.